Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, family.
Oh, what a blessed day it is.
Yeah, it's been an interesting day, I guess. Not interesting. It's been a great day so far. We've had to do a few things though, unfortunately.
Just care for the animals.
Care for the animals, yeah. There's been some things that have popped up on Sabbath that we've had to do. So I feel weird. I feel like we haven't done these in a while.
I know. I think because we took a couple of weeks off, and so
not weeks off from Sabbath, but weeks off from recording.
Yeah, so it's been nice. We decided to come outside today because of the amazing weather that Yah has given us on this day, and 2 of the 3 of our children are at their grandparents, and the other one is asleep, and so it's just felt a bit of a slower Sabbath too, even though we've had to take care of the animals and do some things. It still felt slower.
Puppies whining, needing to be moved and cleaned, and we had sheep hungry, so we had to move them this morning. And we were I was moving the sheep this morning and thinking, man, we didn't have an opportunity to do it yesterday, and I was just kind of brokenhearted that I was having to do something on Sabbath, and kind of praying to Yah, like, Yah, I'm sorry I'm having to do something for these animals that don't rest on Sabbath. Yeah. They don't know to rest, and
while they pretty much take care of them, some of them do. The sheep take care of themselves. But
sometimes they need fresh
grass. They call
you
when they need you.
Yeah.
They call you when they need you, and you have to turn to them and hear their cry for help in a way, just like, Yah hears us, and we have to take care of them. So anyways, it has been amazing. You, Parable of the Vineyard, shared a video from Left and Right Ministries that of one of their, I don't know if it's a new song, but a song that you have had on repeat all morning. And I don't know, I guess, is his name Lyndon?
Lyndon, I guess.
It's Lyndon. But anyways, it's Left and Right Ministries. They performed, or they led the worship at Passover in Missouri. And so he shared, I guess, just kind of a more like an intimate, like just maybe it was on their Eve of their Shabbat. Was it last night that he shared it, or was Psalm 3 the one that they shared?
I don't know. I think it was a couple of days ago.
Yeah,
but they had shared one last night too. So
it's called the Beatitudes from Matthew 5. But we've had both of those songs on, especially Psalm 3 has been on repeat, and I went and opened up my Bible and realized I read Psalm 3, and I was like, I've never highlighted anything in this. But I was just telling you that as we were walking out here, sometimes hearing verses set to music, it just takes on a different meaning. And just I listened to it a bit more slowly, and I just, it's been beautiful. Yeah. So anybody that's listening needs to go give Left and Right Ministries a follow for sure.
I would love it. I would love it if they could
on YouTube
put out a cassette disc, or cassette tape, a new cassette tape, because I would love to listen to them.
Or vinyl.
A vinyl, yeah. No, I would love it, if we could actually get some of their music rather than just on YouTube or something like that. YouTube or something like that.
Like you said, YouTuber. I'm going to read Psalms 3 just to start off this, if that's okay.
No, that's not okay.
I know, it's okay. I'm not trying to, I don't know what else you wanted to share this evening or afternoon.
I think we just want to talk about,
how Yah's been working, and how he's been revealing himself to us through Scripture this week, and
for those
trials.
For those of y'all who maybe just joined us, I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again because I want people to know that we're not planning any of this. We don't sit here and study this out. We're ahead of time. We're literally just pressing record on our phone and recording out what we do every Sabbath. Anyways, we've been doing this for years, and we just praise be to Yah that he brought us the Sabbath back to us. Yeah. And reminded our hearts about the Sabbath, because it's the one commandment we're supposed to remember. He reminded our spirit, poured His Ruach HaKodesh upon us that we can remember His ways. And I just like, I don't know, you put yourself on social media and people get all kinds of ideas of, oh, look at them, they're trying to become the next so-and-so or whatever,
There's assumptions made, and and we do the same thing. I mean, we make assumptions of people all the time on social media, but I think what you're trying to say is we're on here just sharing the Ruach and how the Ruach's leading us, and just in our conversations. And we just decided one day, hey, let's just put it out there, and maybe it'll be a blessing and encourage others to go dig deeper into the scriptures. But I think we all need the encouragement. We all love listening to brothers and sisters just testifying of Yah's goodness and His faithfulness, and how the Spirit's leading them in certain scriptures and passages. And I'm so blessed to not only have you, but to have another Torah sister that I speak to regularly. And every time we talk, we're just the Spirit, like we are encouraging one another to dig into something into scripture that we hadn't read before. And it's just, we are to carry each other's burdens, but we're also to be a light. We're supposed to be a light, right? Like a light set on a hill. And
we know what light is. Light is Proverbs 6:23. It's the Torah.
Yeah.
The light is the Torah. Same thing I've said in every single video. Isaiah, whatever that verse is in Isaiah 8:38, whatever that verse is in Isaiah, it says if they speak the testimony and the Torah, if they speak none of these things, it's because there's no light in them. They're of darkness. This YouTube and in places that we share these social media platforms are full of darkness. And they're full of things that call themselves light, but they speak not of the Torah. And therefore they are darkness. So we have to be a light. We have to shine our light brighter. Those of us who believe in the Torah and the testimony of Yahushua HaMashiach. I interrupted you. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, it is required, and I think I love Isaiah, man. I turn to Isaiah and then I'm just like, oh, this person. I go squirrel in my thoughts. But let me just come back to Psalms 3, because it's beautiful. That song that Left and Right Ministries shared is just amazing. But Psalms 3 says, O Yahuwah, how my adversaries have increased, many rising up against me. Many are saying of me, there is no deliverance for him in Elohim. Man, how many of us feel that way right now? How many of us feel that like everyone is against us in this walk, or against us in our beliefs and our faith in Yahusha? And guarding the Torah, like how I mean, I know we're not the only ones that are dealing with this in relationships.
You guard Torah and you're going to face, all your relationships are going to struggle. Family, friends, you're going to lose. And
people are saying there's no deliverance for him in Elohim. Are you kidding me? This has been done away with. This is not for you.
Yeah. By the way, Cain said this.
Yeah.
Cain said, where did we read that? Cain was telling...
in the Targum.
It was in the Targum. Yeah. Cain was telling Abel...
In our previous Targum talk.
Cain was telling Abel, hey, you don't need to do this. Yah doesn't care about offering.
It's not about works.
Yeah, it's not about works.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? They've been saying it since the beginning.
Yeah.
And we've been transgressing since the beginning.
The enemy has been deceiving since the beginning. We know that.
Yeah.
But so let me keep going. But you, O Yahuwah, are a shield for me, my esteem, and the one lifting up my head. I cried to Yahuwah with my voice, and he heard me from his set-apart mountain.
His set-apart mountain.
His Kodesh, right?
Kodesh mountain, Mount Zion, Mount of the congregation. It's beautiful.
Yeah, Selah.
In the extremities of the north.
Yeah. I lay down and I slept. And I awoke, for Yahuwah sustained me. I'm not afraid of 10,000s of people who have set themselves against me all around. Arise, O Yahuwah, save me, O my Elohim, because you have stricken all my enemies on the cheek. You have broken the teeth of the wrong. Deliverance belongs to Yahuwah. Nothing else can deliver us but Yahuwah. He is our deliverer. And let me just finish. It says, your blessing is on your people, Selah. That's the end of it.
It's beautiful.
Even reading that, I'm like, man, how did I have not seen this psalm before? How did it take, somebody else singing it for me to see the significance of it, and to see this obviously what David, we know, I can see David right in the middle of this, right? I can see why he wrote this. I believe he wrote this because he was in a time and a place, even when he was, Saul was against him, and Saul was rising up against him with his armies and tens of thousands of people coming against him. And
you had
he was
Israel,
hated.
right?
Yeah.
Israel was following Saul, right?
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. You literally had 10,000 people that didn't want you as king.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love this because Saul, I remember reading this in Samuel, I think, where they wanted a king, and so Yah appointed Saul to be their king. But then after Saul's failures, he anointed David. Like he was anointed by Yah, And I think it's the difference in following Yah and his ways and his commands and not.
Yeah.
And Saul, we know, didn't follow the ways of Yah. I mean, I think he did it, probably in the beginning, but...
Yeah, until the spirit was removed from him.
Until it left him, yeah. And so anyways, that has just been on our hearts this morning. This psalm and this song and psalm have been on our hearts, and just, I think we've just had a lot of conversation and around that. And then also the other song that they shared, which is Matthew 5, which we've always said, the Beatitudes. And then you were like, well, where does the Beatitudes come from? Why do we say the word Beatitudes when Yahusha's speaking to the crowd and he's talking about those that will be blessed and for being poor in spirit and meek and humble and being persecuted for righteousness' sake. And so many of those difficult, I don't know what you call them, attributes, characteristics. Maybe that's where it comes from, beatitudes. I don't know. These are the attitudes to be blessed.
Yeah, it's blessed, so.
Yeah.
Blessed is he, yeah. But, Yahusha was not speaking, he was not creating something new.
Yeah.
He's literally quoting all the instruction of Yah.
Yeah, that's what we were finding
He's quoting
this morning.
The prophets and the Psalms and the Torah, which is amazing. And I think that's where the stumbling block comes in. Like we said, Yahusha was a stumbling block to those who still don't believe in the commands.
Yeah.
He still is.
Yeah.
Because it appears that, oh, wow, here he's teaching something brand new. He started Christianity.
Yeah.
But wait a second. No. He came for the lost sheep of the tribe of Yasharel.
Yeah.
And he has other sheep to bring into his fold so we can all be of one fold, right?
One flock.
One flock.
Yeah.
That's why our farm is One Flock Farm.
Yeah, because we know that we were...
Yeah. We were Gentiles, heathen.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping the commandments of the world.
Yep.
Following Babylon. And
he left the 99 to come after the one.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness for the grace of Elohim.
Yeah.
That has brought us back to his ways, the ways of his people. Because there's only one people.
Yeah.
There's not the chosen people in the church. It's all the congregation. It always has been.
And that's the thing, too. If we really believe that, Israel was Yah's chosen people, why would we want to be anything other than that? You remember you had this revelation years ago when you were like, why would Yah create a chosen people and why am I not part of it?
Yeah, I want to be part of it.
Why did I get segregated into this thing called the church? Remember, this was before Torah. I think that you were kind of like, or maybe it was when you were coming into Torah. Mm-hmm. Like just these questions of why would we be a separate race and why would he not want us to be his chosen?
Yeah, and I never understood why we were told that, it was about race.
Yeah.
Like, I don't believe Yah is racist,
Yeah.
Loving only one race. But it is the ones who keep the commands. That is the sign upon you.
Yeah.
That is the mark upon you, the seal of Elohim on your forehead and on your right hand. I might have added right hand. Is it right hand or is it on your hands?
Yeah.
When I quoted, I questioned myself. Like, did I say the wrong thing? It's Deuteronomy 6. It's Exodus 13.
Yeah.
Ezekiel 9, and I think 16. Mm. These are all the signs, the marks that are upon you.
Yeah.
And this is how you become His people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's by following His ways, His commands. He said, "Believe in my only begotten Son." You better believe in it. That's a command.
Yes.
That's a command.
Yes.
So this is the reason that we are to follow Him. He chose a people, separated a people, a peculiar people, a royal priesthood, kings and queens for him, right?
Mm-hmm. That's right. And Isaiah, I keep coming back to Isaiah, and I don't know why. I just finished, I was just reading Isaiah a couple months ago, but, he tells us, woe to the stubborn children, declares Yahuwah, to make counsel, but not from me, and to devise plans, but not of my spirit, in order to add sin to sin, And this is the rebellious people, lying children, who refuse to hear the Torah of Yahuwah.
Yeah.
And it's like, we were talking about even Psalms this morning, and it's like, like what you were saying, Yahusha.
Sorry, the dogs are barking.
Yeah, why are they barking? Uh-oh.
Go get it, Luna.
Should we check on the puppies? They're barking and the puppies are whining.
That's fine. I think she's going to check on them.
Can you cut this part out? It's just real time.
Yeah,
Luna, go get the puppies. Go check on the puppies. But you were saying how Yahushua quotes, he's got the Torah and the prophets, he is the Word made flesh, but he knows it through and through. He knows it. And, it's like what we were saying this morning about Psalms. It's like, I so much of this Old Testament, is so, it's lacking in the church today. It's lacking for the reasons that we know it's lacking. But so many people love to quote Psalms, and it's like I used to quote Psalms. I didn't really like any other parts of the Old Testament, but I like Psalms. It's pretty good. But
throw in a few prophets here and there. Isaiah's great.
Yeah. But it's like now, how can you not read Psalms without believing in Torah? Like, how could you say
all about
that?
The Torah.
Yeah, like how could you even read Psalms 23? I mean Psalms 23, right? It's the psalm that every Christian loves. It's probably on many people's walls, in their homes. But we talk about Psalms like it's like, how do you not read it? Psalms 119 without seeing the love for the Torah and the love for the instruction of Yah, and think that that's done away with. Like, if you do away with that, then you have to do away with Psalms. Like, we've said this before.
Yeah.
Anyways, I don't know where I was going with that.
If we're doing away with the Torah, then we might as well get rid of Psalms, because Psalms is just all about it. Yeah. Psalm 119, I have the whole thing highlighted because it's all about the Torah. Almost every verse.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. This is Yah's word. So... Yeah. Before we get up, I think we already got on another Torah soapbox.
Another Torah talk?
Another Torah talk,
It's not a soapbox. It's
literally the meditation of our heart. Yeah. Psalms 1.
It's the light. It's a lamp unto our path that... we've said that before. But anyways, it truly is. It's our guiding light right now. Mm-hmm. Not right now. In our lives, the instruction is our guiding light for everything we do. Yeah. And if it doesn't come back to Torah, then something's wrong. Yeah. So. And
by the way, you said Old Testament, and I know we don't.
I'm using that loosely because that's how it's divided.
But you said Old Testament, and I know a lot of people would say, well, because we're in the New Testament, the New Covenant. Yeah. That's why things are different. That's why we don't have to obey parts of Psalms and the old covenant,
the old ways,
I guess, the old covenant.
Yeah.
But first of all, the new covenant is, was it the Brit Hodesha? I might be saying that wrong. I can't remember. But it's renewed.
Yeah.
All it is the same covenant renewed, because that's what Jeremiah 31 says, Ezekiel 36. It's also in Deuteronomy.
Yeah.
It's in every one of the prophets they're talking about the new covenant.
Yeah.
But Jeremiah 31 is probably the most famous because it's quoted word for word in Hebrews 9. And Jeremiah 31 tells you that this is the new covenant. We'll see the days are coming, declares Yahweh, when I shall make a renewed covenant with the house of Yasharel and with the house of Yehudah. So there's no church here. Mm-hmm. This is between Israel and Judah. These are the two houses that split. This is the children of Yasharel.
So this covenant is for you if you are of the church. If you believe that
if you believe you're a Gentile, this covenant is not for you. Mm-hmm. Now you can come out of being a Gentile or heathen, quote heathen.
Yeah. The only way to do that though is to guard the commands of Yah.
Yeah.
It's not just about belief in Yahusha.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, the set-apart saints, this is the wearing out of the saints, as it speaks in Revelation, are those who guard the commands of Yahuwah with a testimony in Yeshua.
Yeah.
Plain and simple, black and white. So, Anyways, you keep reading it. It says right here. Well, read 30. Go ahead. Yeah,
so
read 32.
Verse 32. This is Jeremiah 31:32. Not like the covenant I made with their fathers in the day when I strengthened their hand to bring them out of the land of Mitzrayim, my covenant which they broke, though I was a husband to them, declares Yahweh. So this covenant is different. And how is it different? For this is the covenant I shall make with the house of Yasharel after those days, declares Yahweh. I shall put my Torah in their inward parts and write it on their hearts, and I shall be their Elohim, and they shall be my people.
Keep going.
Verse 34, and no longer shall they teach each one his neighbor and each one his brother, saying, Know Yahweh, for they shall all know me, from the least of them to the greatest of them, declares Yahweh. For I shall forgive their crookedness and remember their sin no more. So first of all, I mean, if you do believe we're in the new covenant, and you believe the old covenant doesn't apply to you, well, the old covenant is the new covenant. It's always been. It's the Torah written on your hearts. It's no longer something that, in the new covenant, it's no longer something that you have to struggle to keep. Because in the new covenant, the Torah will be on your heart, and you'll keep it perfectly. You're going to keep it without any crookedness, without any sin in your life. You're going to know this is what I'm supposed to do because it's going to be inside your heart.
Yeah.
And you won't have to teach anybody. We won't have to do YouTube channels. We won't have to do
Get
Instagram
on Instagram
posts
and
or
try to persuade or convince people that this is the way to walk in it.
Sure. It won't have to be churches. You won't have to read because everyone's going to know the Torah.
Yeah.
It's all going to be on your heart.
Yeah.
So, are we in the new covenant? You know, I don't think so. I think the new covenant is being born again.
Yeah.
It is the rebirth of humanity, the rebirth of your crooked body, the body that has a seed of Cain in it.
Yeah.
Has the sinful nature in it. And we have a sinful heart. As much as I would love Torah written on my heart, I know my heart, and it doesn't have Torah written on it.
Yeah.
It struggles daily, and I have to struggle to keep Torah.
Yeah.
And one day, Torah will be written on my heart, and I'll be perfect, just as He is perfect.
Amen.
You know, and I can't wait for that day.
And what you just read, for they shall all know me, from the least of them to the greatest of them. Well, flip to Matthew 5, and Yehoshua says, whoever then breaks one of these commands. So if you're in this renewed covenant, right, you're following the commands, right? Right before that, he says, obviously, till heaven and earth pass away, not one yod or one tittle shall no means pass from the Torah. But he says, whoever then breaks one of the least of these commands and teaches men so shall be called least in the reign of the heavens. But whoever does and teaches them, he shall be called great in the reign of the heavens. So I think, yes, I mean, from the least to the greatest of them will know. But then it's also do you want to be great? Or do you want to be least in the kingdom of Yah?
Yeah.
And then right after that, back to Jeremiah 31:36, it says, if these laws vanish from before me, declares Yahuwah, then the seed of Yisrael shall also cease from being a nation before me.
Yeah.
And if they have vanished, then his chosen people, then Israel has vanished, and then the covenant no longer exists, right?
Yeah.
And so we know that the law has not been done away with. We know that it's not been abolished because Yahushua tells us that again in Matthew 5. Don't think that I came to destroy the Torah or the prophets. I did not come to destroy, but to complete. He came to show us what it meant to keep it perfectly. Yeah. And He's the only one that can do that. But He not once said, I'm doing away with it. He says, unless you believe that heaven and earth has passed away, and to my knowledge, we're still here.
Yeah, heaven
then
and earth
that
still
law
here.
has not passed.
Yeah.
That instruction of the Most High has not passed away.
Yeah. He tells you twice. He says, I didn't come to do it. Don't think I came to do it.
Yeah.
I didn't come to abolish the law.
Yeah.
It's still here.
I don't understand why people cannot read that and see, and yet they still choose to turn, It says down.
It's the same thing.
I know.
We had trouble before. We didn't understand it, until we started reading,
Yeah. He tells us in Isaiah 30, this is the way, walk in it. And wherever you turn to the right or whenever you turn to the left, right? This is the way. Don't turn from the left. Don't turn. Isn't that also, I think Yeshua talks about that? Don't turn to the left or to the right. I don't know.
That's the Torah, but yeah, Yahushua does say that.
Yeah, I mean, I know he
was
from
the word.
The Torah. Yeah,
he does speak the Torah. So
it's just, anyways, I don't know where we were going with all that. I think we're just letting the Spirit lead us in this conversation with each other.
Yeah.
And it's it's one book. I think the whole point of this is and it's missing so much.
This is one
not the Torah. The Torah is
yeah.
complete. The Torah is complete, but I think that there's a lot of question marks that you start to see, and there's a lot of holes in some of the newer writings that you begin to question. If you're reading it with a lens of the Torah and the prophets as your foundation and your beliefs, everything is secondary to that. Yeah. So
it's just like, well, I think a lot, like you said, the newer writings, the New Testament, has been manipulated.
Yeah.
I mean, I've grown up on KJV my whole life, and to see, in Acts it talks about Easter.
Yeah.
So does it say Paul? I think Paul went to go celebrate Easter, and you're like, what? And you look up the original Greek, and the Greek says Passover. Paul went to go celebrate Passover, and you're like, whoa, what? Why did they change that? And there's a lot of things they changed. And then
they changed Sabbath. They changed,
of course,
Miaton Sabbaton.
Miaton Sabbaton. Yeah, they changed to make us think that we're supposed to be celebrating on the first day of the week.
Because the church believes that they had the governing authority to change Scripture.
That's a quote, yeah.
You can find that. Google it.
Yeah, they had the belief that they could do that. And for that matter, so did all the rabbis, too, that didn't believe in Yahusha. They do not read Isaiah 53. When they quote Isaiah, they leave out Isaiah 53.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to talk about the Word.
Yeah.
And they don't read from the Aramaic Targum anymore because it is all about the Word. What I say, over 200 times? Over 200 times the word of Yahuwah is left out of the Aramaic Targum Torah, the 5 books of the Pentateuch. Over 200 times.
Why?
And we're reading, why? And we're reading Psalms, Targum Psalms right now, you and I, and it's the word of Elohim, the word of Yahuwah is in there so many times.
Yeah.
And they've left it out too in the KJV and any of the Masoretic texts. It's crazy. You're like, so there is an effort to hide the real Yeshua, and to hide who he is, the Torah, the commands of Elohim. These two things are the patience of the saints, right? The set apart ones.
Yep.
That's Revelation 14:12.
Mm-hmm. 3 times in Revelation, which I never read that before.
Yeah, 3 times
kind
in Revelation.
Like, was this added?
Yeah.
I've never read this before. We were told to keep Torah and Revelation.
And a lot of the New Testament too is coming out. They're finding all the original manuscripts, which were Hebrew.
Yeah.
It wasn't originally written in Greek like we've been taught. Of course, we know Matthew, but all the Gospels are in Hebrew. We just read Jude was in Hebrew. It's incredible, and it's crazy things like in Jude. I remember it says something like by the faith of the saints, or by the faith of by the belief of the saints. I think is what it says in the KJV. But they'll be saved by their belief. Well, in the Hebrew it says by their set apartness. The set apart ones will be saved. And you're like, oh, okay, I know exactly what being set apart is.
Yeah,
it's not by just belief.
Yeah.
And it's incredible because they purposely hid things, either on purpose or just the Hasatan through the language barrier, I guess. But Revelation came out in Hebrew. They found it in Hebrew, in the original Hebrew, and all these are being released now. All of them except for Paul. So I'm very curious if they find Paul's writings in Hebrew, which would be very interesting. Paul and Acts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyways, where did you want to go? Do you want to read something else, or do you want to... we kind of talked about a lot of things just now. Yeah.
I also, something that I've been studying this week, I've been studying, as a sister has, shared with me, we've been talking about just these different, I guess you would, ancient Israel, and just these different people that we've heard about, we've talked a little bit about. We've talked about Gideon, I've learned so much more about Gideon just as we've been studying full moon, new moon, and Passover. And, I was like, she was talking about how she felt like the Spirit was leading her to study out Rahab, and how she really sees so much of herself in Rahab. And I was like, my name's Deborah, but I don't really know that I have anything in common with, Deborah the judge, Deborah the ruler, Deborah the prophetess. And she's like, well, go study it out.
She sees herself in the good things of Rahab.
Yeah, and the good things of Rahab. I'm sorry. Not Rahab the harlot.
Not the harlot part of Rahab.
But Rahab, the one who saved her family and who really was a witness and a testimony to the Torah. Yeah. Thank you, because if she listens to this, which she will, she'll be the one person to listen. She'll be like, what? You're going to tell people are going to think I'm a prostitute. No, she's not. But anyways, so she encouraged me to go study out Deborah, and I was like, I've never really read Judges before, and I don't know that I really want to. It's not really a book that's ever been like, whoa, have you read Judges lately? It's amazing. It's just not a book that speaks to me in that way. It's not a book that you immediately want to pick up, like, okay, Deuteronomy. I get Deuteronomy now. Deuteronomy is...
It's awesome.
It's my jam. I'll just put it that way. I cannot put the book of Deuteronomy down. Really, all of Torah. But especially Deuteronomy. It was definitely a life-changing, Torah-changing book for me. Anyway, so I'm reading Judges. We read 2 chapters of it. That's one reason why we actually didn't do a Targum talk last Shabbat, because we spent time just reading together, and we were led by the Spirit. We went into Judges, and I originally said I was going to read Samuel, and I was like, well, I'll read Samuel. That's, my friend was reading that. My mom's been reading Samuel, and I was like, I'll just start reading Samuel. Well, guess what book is before Samuel? Judges. So I started reading Judges. We read the first couple of chapters, and it's, I don't want to say mind-blowing, but it is just amazing to read because of the amount of just pure rebellion that's going on, and the way that I see our nation today, then I say the nation, the actual nation that we live in today.
Not our nation.
And this desire that people have to follow a leader, and that we need a leader in this country to make our country great again, for example. Or we don't need a specific leader because they are making horrible decisions, and if we just had the right person in office, things would be better, right? Things would get back to normal, things would improve. And that's exactly what these Israelites were doing. These tribes were doing. They were just seeking a leader, and Yah kept giving them. He called them, I say little, like Savior with little s, because that's the word that it uses here. But he would send. He sent Caleb's younger brother to the tribes to help lead them out of the rebellious ways and lead them out of the hands of their enemy. And he successfully did. Yah, through Caleb's younger brother, did this. I'm just saying all this because it's just amazing to see how, they were so dependent on, they could not do it themselves. They could not just turn to the Father and say, okay, we trust you. We trust you to deliver us out of the hands of the enemy. We trust you to deliver us from our situations, our circumstances. They needed somebody. They needed a figurehead, if you will. And Yah still gave it to them. But every time Yah gave them somebody and they were delivered out of the hands of evil, they would turn to Yah. But then shortly after that figurehead died or passed away or left, they turned right back to the rebellious ways, and they turned right back to sin. And Yah continually delivers them over to their oppressors, and then he continually delivers them. And it's just this merciful, loving, kind Abba that we see in Judges. And again, I'm so excited. I love this book right now because I see so much of what I don't want to get sucked in. And I think we have pulled ourselves very much away from any of this worldly belief that we've got to have, peace and prosperity in the nation of the United States, for example.
It's not supposed to happen.
No, we're not supposed to have peace and prosperity. We're not supposed to have gas prices that are less than $2 or $3 a gallon. We're not supposed to have there's not supposed to be lack of wars or and whatever else, but the devil would have you to believe, Hasatan would have you to believe that that's what we should have. That
we're in control.
That we're in control of our destiny. We're in control of the future, that our vote counts, for example, and anyways.
Yeah, your vote doesn't count. If you just look at the bloodline of the presidents, it's never counted, but...
Yeah, exactly. But you just, it's just so, it's so eye-opening to see the evil that is in the world today. And we're not above it. We're sinners, and we get sucked right into some of the ways of the world, and we're right there. But the more you see it, and the more you see history repeating itself.
Yeah.
You see these tribes, forsaking Yah and going after their own false gods, going after their own false versions of Jesus and their own false ways of worshiping him. And you can't help but just be mournful for and you see Yah's desire you see why he wants to save them. He wants to save them from themselves.
Yeah.
And that's what he wants from us too. He's trying to save us from ourselves right now, and we can't help it. We live in, I think we say we're in the days of Noah, but I think it's worse,
Yeah.
in a lot of ways. We were so distracted out here.
Luna, our dog's running back and forth, checking on the puppies. They're crying. I hear sheep crying in the background.
But let me just say this one thing, because it kind of goes back to the covenant, what you spoke of. And then, I just wanted to share a little bit about what I have been studying out this week. But in Judges 2, Yah says the displeasure of Yahuwah burned against Israel, and he said, because this nation has transgressed my covenant that I commanded their fathers and has not obeyed my voice, I shall no longer drive out before them any of the nations which Yehoshua had left when he died, in order to try to prove Israel by them, whether they would guard the way of Yahuwah to walk in them as their fathers guarded them or not. So, they've transgressed his covenant. They've transgressed the covenant of Yah. They've transgressed his ways. And so he's going to, and that's what he's allowing, that's what's happening now. He's trying us all to see, to prove us, to see, will we return to him? Will we turn to the ways of the heathen? Will we maintain our allegiance to the ways of the church, the ways of the pastor, the ways of the wolf in sheep's clothing? Is that right? Did I say that right?
Yeah.
And he left the nations. He put them in the hands of their enemies, and that's what he's doing right now. Anyways, that's all I wanted to share.
Yeah, he's going to give you what you want, even if what you want is wrong.
Yeah.
He's going to let you do it, let you make your own path.
It'll be a snare to you.
Yeah.
That's what he says. It'll be bait, lure. He'll let you be lured into the hands of him. It's in Judges 2.
Judges 2, yeah. It'll be a snare to you. Yeah. He allows that. And the same thing with, and honestly, let's just be honest. The New Testament with Paul and even with Messiah, these are snares.
Yeah.
These are snares to you if you refuse to believe in Torah. Because they appear...
Stumbling blocks.
They're stumbling blocks. They appear to teach against the Torah.
Yeah.
And if you allow them to, they can be. That's why it's so easy to sit here and just sit in the New Testament and say, oh, yeah, we don't have to keep the law. Look, Paul says so.
Yeah.
But it's set there to be a stumbling block for those who do not keep the Torah. There's only been stumbling blocks for those who do not obey.
Yeah.
That's why Yahushua was a stumbling block to the rabbis, and I don't want to say rabbis, to the Jews who did not believe. They didn't follow the Torah in the first place. They were teaching man's traditions and adding to the Torah, the Talmud, the mysticism of Torah, and reading that instead of the actual words of Elohim.
Yeah.
And so here comes this regular guy, Yahushua, in the image of the Father, who is just a normal guy, nothing to look at, right? Mm-hmm. And he's trying to preach truth and speak of the word, which is already written, and they didn't know it. They didn't understand it because they only knew their father, which was Hasatan, and not. What does Yahushua say to him? If you knew my father, you would know who I am.
Yeah.
Because you would have read. The Word came down on Mount Sinai and gave us the Torah. The Word did this. The Word saved Mitzrayim. The Word spoke to Abraham, and the Word spoke to Yitzhak and Yaakov. Yeah, the Word was there the whole time.
Yeah.
If you had known the Torah, you would have known that the Word was always there.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's just incredible. I just can't even, after knowing it and seeing it, it's like I'm humbled to how dumb I was and thought I was so smart.
Yeah.
I'm humbled to how much I don't know. And I still am. It's just incredible. Like we were talking about this morning, how hungry we are.
Yeah.
And how when I first when we first read Book of Adam and Eve and how we were so excited. I remember that feeling and it left me. It lasted for a week. This exciting feeling inside me. I have no idea how to explain it.
Reading something that was almost like such a controversial, but right? I mean,
it was eye-opening.
But it was so like,
it was revelation, right?
Yes,
it was a revelation. Without
vision, the people perish. Without vision, without revelation, the people perish, or they are let loose. That's what perish means. They're let loose.
They're let loose, to do their own thing.
Yep.
And, I had that little bit of revelation reading, and this was 2016 maybe, 2016. A little bit of revelation reading Adam and Eve, the book of Adam and Eve. And I remember that feeling. I said,
actually, that was back in 2014 when we read it for the first time.
2014,
yeah,
okay.
We had just moved into the old house. And we were reading it. But anyways.
I remember feeling that. And I remember saying to myself, don't let this feeling go because it's incredible. And I let it go. A week later, it was gone. And I was searching for it again. And I didn't get reignited until Torah, which was 2017. And I was just telling you this morning, like, how I can't get rid of it. It's like this fire that's burning inside of me. And it's, and I know that all those who've come to Torah are there because you can see it inside them. They're the same way. They're like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. And you're willing to accept more and more and more wisdom from the Most High. You're willing to say, well, I was wrong about Torah. Maybe I'm wrong about the calendar. Maybe I'm wrong about a lot of things. Maybe these. There's so many things we're wrong about. Let's lay it all down and come to Him as little children who have nothing, no preconceived notion, no preconceived bias of any text, but that we don't know. And when you come like that,
seek and you shall find. You know? I mean, truly, I think we've said this before, and I will butcher it, but it is the glory of Yah, or how does it say? The kings to search out a matter.
The honor of kings.
Yes.
Honor of kings to search out a matter, right? And the glory of Yah to conceal it.
To conceal it, yes. And I think there's been a lot concealed.
Absolutely.
And I don't think it's, I mean, I think to some degree it is intentional,
absolutely. Yeah.
But I think He wants us to seek it out.
When you have something Kodesh or set apart, like Psalm says, it's the Torah, finer than gold, sweeter than honey and honeycomb. If you've got a treasure like gold, what do you do with gold? You hide it. Because you don't want people to steal it. It's the same thing with not sharing your pearls before swine, right? You don't want them to turn and rend and trample you and rend you.
Yes.
Because you gotta protect those pearls. That's how Yahuwah, I believe, has his Ruach HaKodesh, his set apart spirit. If you believe the Ruach is feminine, which I'm persuaded to think so, well, that's a whole different rabbit trail. but I mean, it's like, so I've heard it said, there's a lot of things that could point to the Ruach being I don't want to go there actually. So let's talk about something else, because I know that'll be some controversy, but anyways, it's just like these things are set apart. The Ruach being the set apart spirit. It's not just for anybody. You don't just throw it to people who are going to hate it. The Ruach is placed upon people who are I don't know, searching the truth. Seeking it.
And I think once you do see, come to Torah, I think there's so many other things that He will reveal, and things will make more sense. Even reading the prophets, reading Judges makes so much more. I've been reading Isaiah, Jeremiah, and I'm not saying I know anything. It's not about knowledge, but it's just seeking to understand. And I'm truly seeking to understand His Word. And
it's endless.
It
just keeps
I'm never unsatisfied. I'm never like, oh, I don't want to read the Bible again today. I mean, it's like, it is a thirst that cannot be quenched when I read it. And I'm constantly being drawn in and pulled back. And I don't desire these, Christian fiction books anymore. His scripture, His Word is enough for me. I don't need Jesus calling, I don't need some woman's that. I don't even want to go there, but some woman that's basically trying to
a lot of places we're not supposed to.
I know, but this woman that's she's put together this book, and she's like acting like she's God. She's speaking in God's voice to you, and there's something wrong with that. Never thought there was anything wrong with that before.
That was the same thing that Oswald Chambers' book, My Utmost First Highest. Is he speaking? in the third, not third person, but I guess in the first person as God. he's basically talking how God would talk if he was talking to you.
Yeah.
Which is, man, that's scary.
Blasphemy. It's blasphemy.
It's scary because who knows if you're saying something wrong, which you could because you're a man.
Yeah.
Because we are men and women who say things wrong
We're
all
fallible.
the time. Yeah. If you're saying something wrong, my goodness, and you're speaking in the voice of God.
Yeah. But all that to say, I do think that, when you desire the bread of life, and you desire, which this is, this is the bread of life right here. And you desire that above anything else. Oh, the treasure that, he wants to give us, the things that he wants to give us and the things that he wants to reveal to us. And I think that's why he has, he's shown us, he's led us down this path of so many other texts that, we tested out. We, test all things, but so many of these books, I believe, we know they've either been removed or, they were missing.
Never included
to begin with. And I want to read something that I had stumbled upon as we were just talking. I just flipped through scripture, but Isaiah 33, it talks about, asking for Yah to show us favor. And it says, we've waited for you and be our arm every morning and our deliverance in the time of distress, which that sounds kind of like the arm being Yahusha a little bit, maybe.
The arm of deliverance.
Yeah. But it says, he shall be the trustworthiness of your times, a wealth of deliverance, wisdom and knowledge, and the fear of Yahuwah, that is his treasure. So despite all of the knowledge and all of the things that you can gain, the fearing him is what we should treasure most and we should seek most.
Yeah.
To fear Yah and keep his commands, that is the whole duty.
Yeah. And fearing Yahuwah is Deuteronomy 10 tells you to keep the commands, to fear him and keep his commands. That's how you are to fear him.
Yeah.
Proverbs tells you how to gain wisdom is by the fear and keeping of the Torah.
Yeah.
That's how you get fear. Sirach tells you to the fear of Yahuwah is the Torah.
Yeah.
It's keeping the commands.
There it
It's
is.
instruction.
Yeah. Amen.
It's saying, Father, I don't understand it, but yes, sir. I'll do it.
I love that. Yes, sir, like you would to your father.
Yeah.
Like our fathers taught us.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, no, sir. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am.
Because you're scared. I don't want to get a spanking.
You don't want to get a spanking. So
I better do what I'm told.
You better show the respect and give him the respect that he deserves.
Yeah.
Give him the fear that he deserves, and that's what y'all wants from us. So,
you have anything else you want to say?
No, I think we should. This is almost 50 minutes.
Yeah,
so.
We were just going to do a short one today.
We didn't even get to Genesis.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
I just want to read a verse in
Please,
Jeremiah
yes,
just to end
please.
it since it is Shabbat today.
Yes, please.
This is our Sabbath and how much we have just learned to delight in the Sabbath. I think at first maybe it was a burden to us, knowing we should keep it, but trying.
It was a burden.
But trying to get rid of ourselves in it. And now it becomes such a delight. We would look forward to it every single week.
Yes, I remember when we first started keeping it, I was like, I don't know how I'm not supposed to do things. Like, how do you...
Yeah, we have
this
to
is
do
not
we
possible.
Have to do,
I don't know how... I mean, I was like throwing all of... Like, I was putting all my own stumbling blocks out there, trying to keep, justify not keeping it.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Okay, so this is Jeremiah 17:21. Thus saith Yahweh, take heed to yourselves, and bear no burden on the Sabbath day, nor bring it in by the gates of Jerusalem. Neither carry forth a burden out of your houses on the Sabbath day, neither do you any work, but hallow ye the Sabbath day, as I commanded your fathers. And the very next verse, but they obeyed not, neither inclined their ear, but made their necks stiff, that they might not hear and receive instruction. And, the next verse, let me just keep reading. And it shall come to pass, if ye diligently hearken unto me, saith Yahweh, to bring in no burden through the gates of this city on the Sabbath day, but hallow the Sabbath day, to do no work therein, then shall there enter into the gates of this city kings and princes, sitting upon the throne of David, riding in chariots and on horses, they and their princes, the men of Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and this city shall remain forever. This is beautiful. Goes back to Deuteronomy 30. If we hearken in the end, it tells you in the end, when the children of Yah start coming back to the commands and keeping them, in the end, I will come back for you.
Yeah.
And I will establish you. I'll put you in my kingdom. And this is, it's beautiful. And the Sabbath, I know, was one thing that woke most of us up. This is like the first thing we came to. Once we woke up, we went back to Sabbath.
And it is an appointed time. It's not just a command. It is an appointed time that he established forever. I mean, and I think that's important because we don't really see it as we don't see it as an appointed time like the other feast days, but it is the very first appointed time. It is time for us to reconnect with him.
Yeah.
For us to just let go of all of our own like selfish ways and to truly not profane it, right?
Yeah.
And to guard our hands from doing any kind of evil, which Isaiah 56 speaks of, but to truly give it to him. And it is a day that he set apart for every single believer.
Yeah.
So that is a beautiful way to end this conversation because it's a good reminder for us too.
To not bring in a burden.
To not bring in any burdens.
And to seek this Sabbath day like it's for us.
Yes.
You know, it's a beautiful thing. So, Shabbat Shalom, family.
Amen. Yes.
Thank you for listening if you are listening. Thank you so much. We're honestly just want to be a light and just want to talk to y'all because we desire family.
Yeah.
We desire our family and we desire to be with the congregation tabernacling in the camp of Yah. Can't wait. So, Shabbat Shalom.